As 2024 comes fast approaching and customized print-on-demand products are on the rise, hundreds of hopeful entrepreneurs are going to hop on this trend of print-on-demand, hoping to become an overnight success. But the truth can be far from what it seems, and if you don't approach this in the right way, then you can wind up wasting a lot of your time and your energy. Here's the uncomfortable truth about print-on-demand and how to navigate through its challenges and come out successful. Every new venture has its challenges, and print-on-demand is no exception. Starting a business may seem daunting, but just remember that every successful entrepreneur at some point started exactly where you are. They faced the same uncertainty and the same challenges, watching YouTube videos and taking free courses to try to figure out how to make all of this work. But what made them successful was having a clear strategy and being patient enough to put in the work day in and day out. I see so many instances of people starting print-on-demand, putting in tons of effort and time, and then stopping right before they could have just pushed through and finally saw success. When I first got started selling print-on-demand on Etsy, I didn't make sales every single day. It wasn't an overnight success. I had to put in lots of hours every week and still had days where I had 0 sales all the way through my first 6 months selling on Etsy. It took doing 20 to 30 hours per week, every week for months to finally start getting a consistent income in my store. And for you to start this type of business and not expect to have to do that same type of work, you'll be very disappointed. Now, I know that every YouTuber and coach out there stresses the importance of having a good mindset, but they do that for a reason. When starting anything new in your life, it's normal to experience suffering from something called the dip. Now, this is a concept that I learned in a book by Seth Godin called The Dip that I read in the book club in my print-on-demand roadmap course that I sell here on my channel. And I think it's a really great quick read for anyone who's just getting started with print-on-demand that wants to start out with the right mindset. He shares in his book that when you first start something new, that it's fun, it's exciting, and the rapid learning you do for the first few weeks or months keep you motivated and working towards your goals. But then eventually you fall into something called the dip. And this is the long slog between having gotten started and learned all the basics to finally then eventually mastering them. And this time, the dip is what does a lot of people in and sets the people that get to the top apart from the people that quit. He shares an example that a CEO, for example, has to go through a 25-year dip. They had to work longer hours, keep their head down, do what they're told, kiss up to their boss day in and day out for 25 years before they eventually got that CEO position. It may be easy to be CEO, but what's hard is actually getting there. And print-on-demand is no different. You can't expect to put in minimal effort and get back extraordinary results. He explains in his book that you need to try to become the best in the world. He talks about something called Zipf's law, which explains that the number one thing, which for the example that he used was a box office hit. The number one box office hit is going to make 10 times the amount of money that the next 9 in the box office will make. And it'll make 100 times how much the 100th one on the list will make. And Etsy is absolutely not any different. But trying to be the best in the world can sound scary. But the best part about the internet is this has created so many micro markets. So he goes on to say that you need to become the best in the world at your micro market for what makes the most sense for your specific customer. So for us, that means needing to be the best in the world at your specific niche, for instance. Because for us, Zipf's law is just as true. The top listings for a niche on the first page are going to make 10 times as many sales as the listings at the bottom of that first page, and those ones will make 100 times what the listings on the 15th page are going to make. So you can't just average your way to success with print-on-demand and Etsy either. I see way too many people start print-on-demand stores, put in really minimal effort, and quit after the first few months when they don't see any results. So how do you become the best in the world at your niche? There are 2 main things that you need to learn how to do. Number 1 is how to ensure that there is demand for that product and that niche on Etsy. And then number 2 is how to add value to those niches so customers buy your product products instead of the number one listings that are already there for you to compete with. So let's start with demand. You'll know that there's demand for a niche on Etsy when the item has a bestseller badge, 20 plus in the cart, so many purchased in the last day, or lots of reviews. Then that brings us to the second most important thing you need to learn how to do, and that is add value. You can't just make a design that looks almost identical to theirs, but just change the font or change the colors and expect to beat them. They already have lots of sales and lots of reviews, so you need to give the customers a reason to buy yours instead. There's a lot of ways that you can do this, and this will get easier and easier over time as you practice it and get more creative. But a few examples is you could do a different saying than what the bestsellers are using on theirs, but something that still represents that niche. You could try to turn that into matching shirts for, say, a couple or mommy and me or best friends. You could try mixing that niche with something like a profession, a hobby, or a holiday. Or you could try doing a totally different style of niche. So if that design is really minimalist style, you could try giving it a Western spin or a retro spin to see if you can get more sales that way. If you don't take the time to learn how to find in-demand products and then how to add value to them, then you will not be able to create a successful print-on-demand store. The competition with print-on-demand on Etsy has become fiercer than ever. But if you model what the top stores are doing and then add more value than they are, you will become successful. E-commerce is always changing and evolving. That's why I tell anyone who starts with print on demand that you need to commit yourself to doing continuous learning. That can be watching YouTube videos, joining webinars, and keeping up on the current design trends by looking at bestsellers on Etsy every single day. The more you learn, the better equipped you'll be to handle any challenges that come up in the future and stay ahead of your competition. And if you're watching this but you haven't actually opened your Etsy store yet, then I'm going to link my free mini course down below that walks you through getting everything set up in the first place and even creating your very first listing. One common misconception with print on demand and e-commerce in general is that you can get started, maybe create 10 things for sale, and then all of a sudden become a millionaire. But you have to remember that dip that you're going to feel after getting started. And the first step to getting through that dip is understanding that you're in one in the first place. Embrace the fact that you have to keep learning and trying before you'll be able to consistently create amazing products. This will take time, but every time that you list a product that doesn't sell, you have an item that gets lost in the mail, something gets delivered wrong, you get a bad review, or you have a poor customer service interaction, count that as one of the best things that can happen to you today, because those types of issues are causing other print-on-demand sellers to quit every single day and create less competition for you. A quote that really resonated with me that I saw another YouTuber, Alec, use was, if you want to see their views, you have to climb their mountain. If you're looking at an Etsy shop that's been open for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and you're looking at the success that they have, and that's what you want as well, then you need to look at all the hard work that they put in. How many listings do they have? Because I bet you they have more than 10. Likely, most really successful Etsy stores have between 500 and 1,000 listings within their store. And they probably had to make twice as many that you don't see that have already been taken down to get to where they are. Print on demand is a lot harder than the internet sometimes portrays. But with the right guidance and enough patience to stick to a strategy, you can create a successful business that'll give you the financial freedom that you're looking for. You have to be consistent, even if it takes a few months or even a year to start seeing those consistent sales. And if you want to streamline your process and skip a lot of the costly mistakes that I made along the way, then check out my paid course, the POD Roadmap. These are the strategies that led me to selling over $800,000 on Etsy within my stores. And my students like Shauna, who sold almost nothing for her first 9 months and then sold $100K in her next 12 months. Or my student Andreas, who sold $110,000 in his first 12 months. Or my student Jesse, who went from making $1,200 per month in profit to over $3,800 per month in profit in just a matter of months. All the info for my course will be linked down below or will be on my website, CassieJohnson.com. And if you're ready to be the best in the world and get through the dip, then put "the dip can't stop me" down in the comments below. And if you got value from this video, please take a moment to like it and subscribe so you can keep seeing more content just like this in the future. And as always, thank you so much for staying all the way until the end, and I'll see you in the next one.